Hey, welcome to another great episode of the Real Deal Podcast. Happy Friday. Let's go. All right. Happy Friday. Welcome to another great episode of the Real Deal Podcast, March 7th. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harding. Glad to be back with this is the Women's History Month kickoff week series. I've had a lot of great guests so far and even more upcoming in this entire month where we highlight the incredible women in not just in sports, in media, business, podcasting, anything. I got a lot of different ones. So be on the lookout for that schedule and everything that's coming up. But I don't. This is not a guest that's coming back on. This is a good friend of the podcast. She's been on many times. We've lost count of how many podcasts we've done together. Even here on the Real Deal and on her platforms as well. I've been on her show many times as well. So yeah, there's definitely a friend in this media podcast space. So I'm not going to keep her much longer. But before I bring her on, like I said, it's Women's History Month, and you can follow the show on all the podcasts and platforms and social media platforms, whether it's Google or not Google. It's not Google anymore. YouTube, Spotify, Apple. We're on the Roku channel, bs3tvlive.com, BS3 Network, Roku channel. We're on Spreaker. Like I said, whatever you consume podcast, you can get the show there. Like I said, we're on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'm on Blue Sky now, so I finally jumped over to Blue Sky, and it's cool. I like it a lot. There's a lot of people there, a lot of good conversations. If you think Twitter is a toxic place, which is sometimes has become that, Blue Sky is a really good alternative. But I'm still on Twitter as well, so I get the real deal with Courtney Harden. So, all right, well, let me bring in my friend of the show. She is a newly married woman now, so last name has changed. Gabby Maljanian. I got that right on the first try, so she said I did really well with that. So she is the host of the Boston Ballin podcast, also locked on Red Sox as well. She is Boston through and through. So Gabby, welcome to the show. Really appreciate it.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I know you talk about how many times we've connected, and it really has been so many
Yeah.
at this
Yes.
point over the years, going
Mm-hmm.
all the way back to what, like 2019 maybe, or
2019. Yeah.
yeah, that was might have been the first time, and it's been a while since then. And it's just been fun to kind of see things continue to grow since
Yeah.
that time for both of us. So it's been kind of cool to look back on. So definitely excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm always excited to have you on. First, happy Women's History Month to you. We celebrate, like I said, celebrate women in all these spaces, not just in this month, but 24/7, 365. I always do these specials, and you've been on ever since, every time. And every time I ask you, we just pick a time. And as you said, since 2019, we do at least 3 or 4 of these a year. Football season, NBA season, March Madness,
Yeah.
baseball season. So those are like most of the times we always do this. So at least, like I said, 4 or 5 times a year. So again, thank you, and congratulations again on your wedding and marriage there. I think the last time you were just maybe a couple of weeks before you're about to get married. That was the last one we did. That was during football season. So, but
Yeah.
again, congratulations on that as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's definitely been a whirlwind. Really busy last few months, just in general with everything going on. But it's definitely been cool to be married and kind of be able to enjoy that. So I've definitely been having a good last few months for sure. I can't believe it's been like 5 months now since I got married. So that's kind of crazy, but it's definitely been
Yeah.
fun.
Yes, for sure. Yes, I've been married. It'll be 20 years in August.
Wow,
So
congratulations.
yeah, yes, we're planning planning a big trip to Hawaii. That's the plan for our 20th anniversary. So it's the best thing being married. So you enjoy it as much as enjoy being married and all that too. So again, congratulations on that. So, but how have everything else been with you? Over you said you've been busy. Obviously, you're still putting out good content. The content never stops. So you
Yeah.
put out all that content. You go into games. You was just at Red Sox training camp as
Yep.
well. So before we get into it, we'll start with the Red Sox, and I know you're excited about their upcoming season. Opening day is in 3 weeks,
Yeah.
something like that,
It's
which
crazy.
is insane. Like, I mean, the weather doesn't really say it unless you was in Florida, but here up in the Northeast, not really. It's getting warmer, but how's everything been going on with the with the podcast? And I just saw you just had a new episode on Lockdown Red Sox, so you had that just upcoming. But how's everything else been going on in this busy sports this busy sports new year that's been since January?
Yeah, been really good. Spring training was a great experience. Beautiful weather for one, 80
Mhm.
and sunny every day. But yeah, it's really cool to kind of see some of these teams in that element because it's just a very different level of baseball because the games don't count really, but players are
Yeah.
just trying to get back into the swing of things for the season. So it was kind of cool to see some of the returning guys down there and some of the new players that a lot of the fans are excited about. So it was definitely a cool experience, definitely something I'm going to continue to be doing. And also this upcoming season, which is new for me, I have like a full season media credential for the AAA Worcester Red
Ooh,
Sox too.
okay.
So I'll be
Yeah.
covering them a lot more extensively, going to a lot more of their games and talking to people on the podcast about what's going on with the Red Sox prospects who are kind of the future of the team. And the AAA team has a lot of talented players right now. So it should be good to be able to kind of keep people informed on that as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, congrats. I mean, we know how hard it is to get these credentials.
Yeah,
It's a
it's not easy.
competitive. No, it's not
Definitely not
easy.
easy.
It's not easy on any front to get any credentials. I've been trying and had a few with some some things, some leagues and things like that. WBA. I definitely I do a lot of Zoom with the WBA and things like that, which is great. But to get in person credentials, we got Super Bowl last year. The network got it this year. I didn't go this year, but yeah, it's tough. So that's big to get any credentials because it's so many people want to get them, so many people want to cover, and they got to really be selective. I'm sure all these leagues and everything too. So that's good. But like I said, you've been busy, still putting out that great content. And how's everything else with the podcast, with the Boston Ballin and Locked On? Like I said, I know you just did an episode on Locked On Red Sox, but how's everything going with the podcast?
Yeah, been great actually. Locked On Red Sox is a grind because it's a daily show, so
Yeah,
it's about kind of constantly coming up with new and engaging content that the fans would be interested in hearing about and kind of continuing to grow in that way and just grow the platform because the Locked On network is just so broad. They have so many different shows. So trying to kind of distinguish yourself has definitely been kind of the biggest challenge I think when it comes to podcasting in general is just how can you be unique and stand out from other shows. And I think for me personally, something that I kind of early on in my podcasting career that has helped me a lot was the types of guests that I was able to
yeah,
generate, kind of getting like well-known guests within the Boston sports community, and it really got people excited about listening. And I kind of carried that over into Locked On Red Sox, and I've been able to get some players and coaches and media people on, just a nice variety of people. So that's kind of continuing into this year going to be my focus, is just kind of generating some of those big guests for both shows. And I love Boston Balling because as much as I love talking about the Red Sox every day, Boston
yeah,
Balling gives me that platform to still be able to talk about the other teams and what's going on. And, we could see some exciting stuff, certainly at least with the Boston Celtics right now. But
yeah.
it's just nice to be able to still talk about the other Boston teams that I love also.
Oh, for sure. And it's been like I said, I love I have I told you this before. I've loved how your since you started in 2019, 2020, and how it's grown for you and your platform and your brand and what you've done, and got you getting so many great guests, as you said, just in general. It's been good to see from afar as a friend, to see you just continue to keep growing and growing, and now getting credentials, and you just recently you were asked to speak at a was it your was it for a school, or you had to speak for some media things. Talk a little bit about that, being selected to speak at I think it was at a school, right?
Yeah, so actually a couple different things that I'm going to be doing coming up here. So I'm going to be speaking to a class at Binghamton University in
Yeah.
upstate New York about
Okay.
being in kind of the sports media space and kind of what it takes to kind of break into the industry for some of those college students who are interested in being in that field. And I'll also be returning to my high school alma mater as well,
Yeah.
and speaking to a couple classes there about the industry and kind of my journey and how I got to where I am today.
That's good. I mean, just to like giving back, speaking to people that are trying to get into the industry, the media. We know, like I said, we know how tough it is. We just talked about trying to get credentials, and me and you have talked about journalism and sports media, and sometimes you got to have your own career path to kind of set your own career path, because it's a grind. It's difficult
Mm-hmm.
to break in, but it's a lot of fun once you get in, and you really have a lot of the connections and networking, things like that. And he said to talk to other students and people trying to get into this business. I'm sure is an honor to do. And I'm always honored when somebody asks me to get on the podcast, or ask for some type of advice, or ask how do you start, and everything like that.
Yeah.
I'm always always game to give someone some type, just like I said, I don't know all the answers. I don't, I'm just a person that's trying to build and things like that, and get better every day with the podcast too. And for someone to ask you to speak, or to ask you about advice, I think it's great to always give back. So, and I know that you have that type of drive and determination and heart to do that as well. So congrats on that too. That's huge.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I always know for me when I started in the industry, I always appreciated the mentors that I had
Mm,
and the people who kind of helped guide me along the way. And so I'm never going to say no to anything
right.
that involves helping others. Or, yeah, like you mentioned, podcasts. If people ask me to be a guest on their podcast, I'm always like, yeah, 100%, let's do it. Because I just think it's
Yep.
important to be able to, you know, help people where you can, because I would not be where I am without the people along the way that helped get me to that point. So I just think
Yeah.
it's really important to be able to do those types of things. And especially for kids who are in high school and college, if this is what they want to do with their life, like if I were their age, like I would really appreciate hearing personally from somebody who
Yeah.
kind of went through some of the struggles that it takes to get there, and just kind of, really making that name for yourself within the industry. I think it'll be hopefully something that they can, resonate with and take something from.
Yeah, yeah, I'm the same. Anytime anyone asks me to be on a podcast, or anything like that, I try to, yes, I'd be like, yes, let's just set up a time. I'm always, because like I said, I want to, as you said, you take the people that had you along the journey, helped you along the journey, and continue to help you along the journey, because without them, we wouldn't be where we are. The ones that give us a chance to build and to shine, and everything too. So yeah, it's good to see that as well. So all right, let's get into some of the, like you said, you were just at spring training with the Red Sox, and I know that was exciting. As you said, the weather, just baseball in general. Opening day is in 3 weeks. When they said, I was watching the news yesterday in the sports here, and they were like, "Oh yes, opening day is in 3 weeks." I was like, "Yeah, oh, goodness, it's coming up so fast and
Uh-huh.
everything too." I was so locked into Eagles all season, and still celebrating their Super Bowl. And I was like, "Oh yeah, spring training already started like 2 weeks ago."
Yeah.
And then now I'm in the NBA, fully in the NBA. And then it's like, oh yeah, spring training is here, and then March Madness, we're getting ready for that too. But talk about the Red Sox. Like, what's your feeling this season? And we talked last year, you weren't too excited
Yeah.
about that because they weren't making much moves. And I know you tweeted out saying, "Are the Reds not going to do anything within this free agent period? They're going to do something and everything too." But what's your overall feeling heading into opening day and then into the new season?
Yeah, I think vibes are really high right now. The
Mhm.
Red Sox went into this offseason basically saying a lot of similar things that they said going into last offseason, which was, we're going to go all out this year. We're tired of not competing, so we really want to compete. So obviously, when they said that last year, they didn't exactly live up to what they said. So I said, I'll believe it when I see it. Let's see them
Yeah.
actually start to make some moves before I can be excited about going into the season. But they went out there and they made some solid moves, added to their pitching staff, and pitching
Mhm.
was very clearly their biggest weakness last year. So they went out and they started by improving that pitching staff, and then they went out and got Alex Bregman, who's a really strong
Yeah.
right-handed bat, for them to add to their lineup, and they spent a lot of money on him. So they kind of started a little bit to take away from the narrative of them being afraid to spend any money, because they went and they committed a few years to Alex Bregman for quite a big amount of money. So fans,
Yeah.
I think, are starting to buy a little bit back into what the Red Sox are trying to do. If they're healthy going into 2025, I feel like they will definitely be a playoff team.
Yeah, and it looks like you said they have committed again to being what you're used to, being
Yes.
an organization that makes moves because all these other teams are trying to chase the Dodgers, and the Dodgers are spending so much money. I want to ask you about them, how much they've been spending and everything too. But the Red Sox, they were one of those teams. It's funny because it was usually the Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox, now the Mets. The Mets they spent a lot of they're spending a lot of money and improving their team. But those are the teams that usually are like always at the top. The Phillies, and other teams too, but they spend money. And this year, and they said this year the Red Sox were able to say, okay, we gotta, for us to contend, we have to make some moves. And you said it starts with pitching. Any concerns on any of the rotation or any of their positional hitters, anything that you have any concerns with the Red Sox?
Yeah, I would say the bullpen right now is still
Mhm.
kind of the biggest weakness. If I had to kind of pinpoint something, they did make a couple moves to add to their bullpen. They had to add a couple more lefties to the pen, and they said that that was something that they were planning to do going into this offseason because they just didn't really have enough lefties in the pen last year. But they do have some guys who are struggling that they plan to use as relievers. They don't really have an official closer right now. I don't know that they will name a closer going into the season. They might just kind of try out a few different guys in that role and kind of see who fits into it the best come the start of the season. But I'm definitely a little bit concerned about that. There are a couple players who struggled last year out of the pen and are struggling a little bit now in the spring. So that's an area of the roster that I think could still be seen as a question mark right now going into this year, is how is that bullpen going to perform? Because that could make a big difference in their results. Because if I'm looking around the rest of the roster, their offense is going to be very good. Presumably, again, they put up some strong offensive numbers last year, but now that they added that strong right-handed bat and Alex Bregman, Trevor Story, hopefully he's finally healthy,
Mhm.
and he's been having a big spring also. So I'm not as concerned about the offense. The rotation, I think, has a very high ceiling with a lot of talent in there.
Yeah.
So I would say the bullpen is definitely the biggest area that I'm looking at and saying this could be an area where they struggle this year.
Right, right. Yeah. It looks like you said the pitching seems like it's coming together. I'm just looking at their roster and hitting shouldn't be a problem. They shouldn't, he said Alex Bregman. And I had Kavitha Davidson, who's a big Yankee fan, and she did not like the Red Sox grabbing Alex Bregman. She's like, well, we could have used him in that third base. And I just had her on just recently, a couple of days ago, and she was like, she said she's very optimistic about the Yankees, even though they did lose a big piece of Juan Soto, which is interesting because Soto and Judge fit like they did that duo fit, and they fed off each other, and it protected, and it did protect the big bats and stuff like that. He fit right in, and he protected Judge as well. So it's so as Bregman going to the Red Sox, I'm sure was a big win for you in the Red Sox nation to be like, yes, okay, we took something from. I don't know if the Yankees were interested or not. I'm sure they were.
I think they were, yeah.
They were, yeah. So I mean, they were trying to get that piece in there. But as a whole, as the American League East, do you see the Red Sox contending? The Yankees seem like they're still the favorite, and also Baltimore. But where do the Red Sox like? Could they really with the moves they made? Can they really make some noise and get maybe a wild card spot?
I do absolutely think so. I think there's not really a question that if this team is healthy, they
Mm,
can make the playoffs. When it comes to the division they're in, I mean, they're in a good division. It just is what
yeah.
it is. There's no like real bottom of the barrel, like 100 lost teams in their
Right.
division,
Right.
which that used to be the Orioles and it's not anymore.
Yeah.
But you look at the teams in their division, the Blue Jays just consistently underachieve every year. For the roster that they have, they should be performing better than they do. The Orioles, I am still concerned about in regards to competition
Mm,
head to head against the Red Sox, but not as concerned as I was because they lost a couple key pieces to their
yeah.
team and didn't really do a whole lot to fill those holes. So I don't know that they're going to be as good as they were the last couple of years. And then Tampa Bay always just finds a way to compete, and nobody really understands why because they just string together a bunch of players that nobody knows, and it works for
Yeah.
them. So they'll be competitive probably, but realistically, I do see the division coming down to the Red Sox and Yankees. If everybody's healthy, I do give the Yankees like a little bit of an edge over the Red Sox, but the Yankees always seem to have injuries, so it's hard to
Yeah.
really bank on them being fully healthy. And I also am a little bit concerned about their offense because, like you said, they lost a huge piece of their offense from last year. So I think, it could be interesting. I think the Red Sox could give them a little bit more of a run for their money than people might think.
Yeah, for sure. And you're right. I think up and down this division, there's not really a bottom of the barrel. Even if you say Tampa Bay is going to be at the bottom because they don't have a lot of, I guess you could say a lot of punch in their lineup. But they string a lot of wins somehow, some way. They always string wins. I think it's going to come down to September. You said Toronto. They seem like they're right, always there and ready to either get to the next level or they stay within striking distance of making the playoffs and not really or not making the playoffs. I should say, but they got to retain Vladimir Guerrero. That's one of the things, and maybe trying to get a playoff spot as well. And they've whiffed on a lot of free agencies too. They haven't been able to lock down. They've been trying. They've been trying to get a star and been trying or another star. But I get they said retaining Vladimir Guerrero. I think is their biggest thing. And then you're right, Baltimore, they're looking for their first postseason win since 2014. So they're going to be in the mix too. So yeah, the division is pretty loaded. Unlike some of the other divisions where you might see like the White Sox, they'll be really probably bad again
Yeah.
in the Central, and then even in the West, LA, and then the Athletics, with they're moving from Oakland. So it's like what's going to happen with them as well. So yeah, I can see it coming down to again the American League East, always in the always the top tier division as well. So, but let's move on to the National League and the Dodgers and spending so much money and keep reloading and reloading and reloading. I think you said something. I think you put out a tweet. Is I'll ask you this: is it bad for baseball when I guess the Yankees were doing this to back in the '90s and early 2000s? They were just spending so much money. And I guess if you go in baseball, if you have to spend money to be a contender. But the Dodgers continuing to spend money and now they did win this past season. But what do you think of the Dodgers and keep spending so much money? Can anyone contend against them in the National League?
Yeah, it's interesting because I did post something like that. I put a
Yeah,
poll out there to kind of
yeah,
ask baseball fans their thoughts on this. And what's crazy with the Dodgers right now is they've proven they can build a contender and players just want to go there. I mean, it just
yeah.
is what it is. Like players want to go there because they can see just how crazy good that team can be. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
less a fault of the Dodgers and more a fault of the league in terms of really exposing some of the like salary floor, salary ceiling type of scenarios here that Major League Baseball, I think as a whole, needs to enforce a little bit more. Like they could have a salary floor and kind of force some of the lower end teams to spend a little bit more. Um,
Yeah.
and I think what's really interesting about it is it kind of puts other teams on notice of like you could be doing this, you're just choosing not to. And I think when you look at the way that the Dodgers have gone about their off season, it kind of calls out other owners who also have that type of money for saying, why aren't you doing this to improve your team? When it comes to who's going to contend with the Dodgers in the National League, if they're healthy, I don't realistically see anybody contending with them. But baseball's such a weird sport that the Dodgers on paper, so many times that we've seen recently, have been like over 100 win team and on paper should be a team that goes to the World Series and then they fall apart in the playoffs. So you never really know when it comes to that late in the season what
Yeah.
things are going to look like. Are they going to be healthy? First of
Right.
all, if I'm looking at this Dodgers team right now, like I don't really see anybody in the National League right now being at that same level as them. Ruining baseball is an interesting question. I don't necessarily think so because, like you said,
Right.
we have seen this done before. I just do anticipate that there could end up being a lockout here at some point in like
Mm,
26. A lot of people are anticipating there being a lockout due to kind of, Major League Baseball and really bringing attention to them and the lack of what they've enforced. And I think we could see some changes when it comes to these salary rules in Major League Baseball because of the Dodgers being able to do all of this craziness with the deferred contracts, because that's really what it is they're just
yeah.
pouring so much money so they're able to continue to get all of these players, and it's crazy the way that they're doing it. But now other teams are starting to catch on to that. So I feel like that could become more of a regular thing of, oh, we're going to sign this guy to this massive contract, but defer half of it. Like that Otani contract is
Yeah.
crazy right now.
That's crazy. That's a crazy. I mean, how much he did deferred is crazy.
Yeah.
And Otani's probably arguably the best player in baseball. I mean, there's a few you could say, but he's what he's done, and he's getting ready to be doing double duty again, getting ready to get back to pitching. It's crazy how much how good he is, how great he is, I should say. And he said the Dodgers are just they found a loophole. Like it's a loophole that they're able to get guys to commit to defer so much money because I mean, hey, I guess you're doing all you can to win, and that's what you do. And they've done it. But then Juan Soto signs that big huge contract. What was it, $765 million,
For
and
15 years, which is crazy.
15 years, which is crazy. And he's so good. Like he is so good. He's been good everywhere he's been. And I know the Yankees want him. They I mean a few million the Yankees could have got him. That's what it was. It separated that. And I guess I don't know if I think the Dodgers actually was looking at him too. And it's like, my
Yeah.
goodness. And I know the Mets ended up getting him. But like you said, it's a long season. And the Mets are like, hey, we want to contend too. So we're spending money, and that's what they did. So I can see it, like I said, it's a long season, and if everybody's healthy, the Mets might be the team I think that can actually contend with the Dodgers, Phillies, of course. But I think the Phillies window uh, with their windows probably this is the year like the last 2 years should have been their year where they were very close. They had everything working for them, and then they went to the World Series a couple years ago, didn't get it done. Last year, put out in the first round, couldn't get it done. And I thought they had even a better year last year than they did the year before they went to the World Series. So they got to stay healthy as well. I know the Cubs are good, improved. Atlanta's always in the mix. If they could, get all their healthy, they can be healthy too. So there's a few teams, but you said the Dodgers just seem like they're a 100-win team, and if they're healthy, they probably make it back to the World Series.
Yeah, I just feel like that pitching staff alone, I mean, their starting rotation is crazy, especially if you
Yeah.
add Ohtani back into that mix. I mean, Tyler
Right.
now would be like their fifth starter right now, which is
Yeah.
crazy. And so I just feel like they just have such a deep roster right now that it's just going to be tough for teams to beat them. But again, you never know when it comes to players being injured, what's going to happen. But they still, to me, for sure, are the favorite or should be in the National League. But that's why baseball is so fun, because it's a long season and you never know, what type of season everybody's going to have.
Yeah, you can start hot, and then you go on a slump in mid-season, All-Star break, and then get hot again. We've seen that. Hey, we've seen that with your Red Sox when they were they won all in September, got right into it, and got it in, and the rest was history. But it does show that, like, yeah, like the baseball is such 162 games. Yeah, the Dodgers rotation, they go six deep with the rotation, which is ridiculous. But like I said, it's a long season, and injuries happen too, and you just never know. So we'll see. I mean, Mookie Betts was out; he was out a chunk of the season last year, and but they still held it down and won the World Series. So it's gonna be an interesting year. I'm looking forward to seeing how this baseball season comes back, how it comes back, and it's good. It's gonna be good to see. I know you're looking forward to it as well. So, all right, let's transition. Just gonna have two more. You got to go to your Celtics and what they're doing. Looks like they're on the path of getting back to the finals again. How you've been looking at the Celtics season, what you've been seeing, and any concerns with them heading into this stretch run into the playoffs in the next month or so, and they're right there, second in the East, behind Cleveland right now. But I don't see really any teams really against them in a 7-game series beating the Celtics in the way they can shoot the basketball.
Yeah, I agree with you. In the Eastern Conference, for sure not. I'm still picking the Celtics to come out of the Eastern Conference. The West is definitely a lot stronger. There are a few teams in the West that would kind of worry me if the Celtics were to see them in the finals. But in terms of the Eastern Conference, I mean, they just are the best team to me. They're the deepest team to me. I mean, Peyton Pritchard as the sixth man off the bench in the season that he's having, he put up 40 the other night. And I mean, if that's your sixth man, that's a tough team.
Yes.
I mean, I've always loved Peyton Pritchard. I loved him when he was in college at Oregon, and then I loved him when the Celtics drafted him. There were many Celtics fans on Twitter who were giving him a hard time in his first couple seasons in Boston, and I kept defending him because I was like, this kid's going to be something special. And now I'm looking back at those tweets, and I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I stuck true to that because he's just having an unbelievable season this year. Their bench unit as a whole really has been stepping up a lot this year. And, you have these guys who are just filling in spots and doing it seamlessly. I mean, even a guy like Luke Cornett off the bench has been having a really good year this year. So he's a guy that I'm going to be looking to in the playoffs to get some solid minutes. Sam Hauser is another player who off the bench is able to have hopefully really good minutes as well. They didn't really do much at the trade deadline, which I expected, because why would you mess with a team that, feels like they're just as good as they were last year with a chance to go to the finals again. And this is the core that won that championship. So I didn't necessarily think they really needed to drastically add, but they did pick up Torrey Craig after the trade. He's been good off the bench too. He's, in the few minutes kind of that he's gotten here and there throughout games, he's making an impact. So that felt like kind of that missing piece that they needed. I will say health is a concern for me, especially for Porzingis. This seems to be an issue because he just can't really stay on the court. It was an issue last year and it's an issue now. And I saw somebody on Twitter the other day actually say it was funny. They were like, I don't care like how much he's injured during the regular season. If he's available for that stretch run in the playoffs, that's
Yes.
when we kind of need him, which is true because, last year he wasn't available for all of the playoffs, but when
Yep.
he was when we really needed him. But I definitely am concerned about them being healthy. Tatum and Brown don't really miss a lot of games. Tatum especially rarely misses games. He
Right.
just is
Right.
durable and healthy, which I really like. But they just absolutely need to be healthy. I mean, Jrue Holiday is going through an injury right now too. Should be hopefully back soon. But I love just what they've been doing again this year. Derek White is another player who just is such a huge difference maker for
Yes.
this team in terms of his game. I mean, I love second half Derek White. He always just goes off in the second half of games, and it's so fun
Yeah.
to watch. But I realistically, even if you take Cleveland against the Celtics in a 7-game series, like I'm still picking the Celtics because I just think from a depth standpoint and what the Celtics really have off the bench, I just think they're really hard to beat.
They are very hard to beat. And I was watching the game against the Sixers yesterday, and they blew them out. And it was, and then you said the Celtics are down key pieces in their lineup. Drew Holiday and Porzingis, they were down, and they still was able to pull that off the way they did because before the issue was the depth. Now it's not. It's not an issue as much as you said. Torrey Craig, real good player off the bench. And you said Peyton Pritchard, he can score at will, can shoot the ball. Is a really good. He's basically a starter. That's a six man. He's turned himself into that type of player. And you said Derek White and Tatum's just been carrying this team, MVP candidate, superstar, and then how he stepped up. Jalen Brown, yes, Jalen Brown has been injured, but if they're fully healthy, you're right. I definitely don't feel like as good as Cleveland has been. And Cleveland has been really good, very good. They only got 10 losses right now. Celtics are seven and a half back or 8.5 back from first. And I don't think the Celtics are going to jump that, but Celtics get the 2 seed, get into the playoffs, healthy. They're a matchup nightmare. And you said Porzingis makes a huge difference with them. He's such an X factor of what he brings offensively and defensively. As long as he can move and everything, and he's healthy, and you mean Hal Horford still a body and can give you minutes still even at his age. Defensively and offensively, I just don't feel like a team in the East. The Knicks, the Bucks, can match up against the Celtics especially when they're hitting those. They shoot so many threes. That's like at an alarming rate. They're gonna hit a high percentage because they shoot so many. Now the downside is except the health, and if they're not shooting lights out, that can hurt. But they got so much depth. I just don't feel like. Yeah, I just feel like they're gonna go back to the finals again. I picked them anyway to get to the finals, and I'm not changing my pick at all.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the one issue with that is sometimes they get like too aggressive with the threes, and if
Yes.
the threes aren't
Yeah.
going in, then they don't really alter what they're doing offensively. So that's something I'm definitely going to be looking out for down the stretch here is them being able to adapt when they're not making their threes because sometimes they just try to ride or die on that, and
Yeah.
that might not be the best idea going into the playoffs. But overall, I just think they have the most complete roster in the Eastern Conference, but then they'll get to the finals, and depending on who they face, that could be tough for them.
Yeah, I mean the West is loaded, and like you said, I think the top teams in the East, Cleveland, Boston, the Knicks. The Knicks just have a hard time beating teams with that's just
That are good.
above them. Yeah, that's above them. So that could be a huge issue. So they will run. They're going to run into either Cleveland or Boston. The Bucks, they're always tough. They're always tough, but I don't know. There's something missing with them still. And I think me and you talked about this last year. We were talking about the Bucks. Like they get into the playoffs, and if they match up against Indiana again, it looks like that's what it's looking like. Once again, Indiana, yes, Giannis got hurt and Dame got hurt, but if one of them are injured, I don't know. I don't see that. I don't see them really making that much noise. They're a matchup nightmare too, but there's something missing with them. Indiana, Can they get back into what they did last year? Maybe. They're starting to turn it around right now. Detroit's been the story in the
Mhm.
East for sure. Playing very well. Right now they're 7 games above 500 as of right now. So yeah, so and then the bottom teams like Miami, Atlanta, Orlando, I don't think they really have a shot. Atlanta, Chicago, don't have a shot to really contend. But you said the West, OKC, the Lakers were getting Luca with that whole trade, and that's it's work. Seems like it's working out pretty well right now. Denver, Memphis, if they can stay healthy, Houston, Golden State. Again, they seem like they're starting to. Can they continue to sustain this? I mean, Curry seemed like he just turned a light on again with getting Jimmy Butler and just put like almost like he's like got his he got his game. I mean, he's been playing well anyway, but he's on another level. He's playing another level right now too. So yeah, the West is loaded. The West is truly loaded. So we'll see who comes out of the West once they battle out. But I think it's gonna be OKC.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see a Celtics Lakers finals. I think just
Mm,
for basketball, that would be so fun to see. But yeah, I mean, that Luca trade, I mean, even still to this day, hasn't fully sunk in. Like,
me
I still
either.
can't
No.
believe that actually happened. And I mean, it's tough for the Mavs because Anthony Davis is hurt, who they like
Yeah.
the main guy that they wanted
First
in that
game.
trade.
First game.
Yeah,
You guys heard. Yep.
it's
Yep.
just it's just like the Mavs like season ever since like trading Luca has just been kind of downhill for
Yeah.
them, and it's tough because I didn't understand the move when it happened and why you
Me
would get
either.
rid of a player like that, but everything that's happened since then for them has just been really unfortunate. And I also wondered how Luca and LeBron were going to mesh in LA, but things seem to be working out well, and they have been playing really well. I think they've won like 8 in a row or something like
Yeah.
that. So they'll be tough. But OKC is just so good.
They're so
Uh,
good. You talk about depth.
they're playing on an unreal level too right now, and I think them facing the Celtics would be a really fun matchup. I think too.
Yes. I do too.
But yeah, it's interesting you brought up the Pistons. Everyone's sleeping on them, but they're going to be really good in the next couple of years here because they
Yeah.
have a good core there
Yeah,
now.
they finally those draft picks and everything's come together, and they look like they're a competent team. They're in the sixth seed right now, and they're playing very well. Kate Cunningham is just leading this team, and they're playing well too. So it's good to see the Pistons back on their winning ways as well. But man, OKC, you're right, their depth. They have the MVP. SGA is going to win the MVP,
Yep.
and you talk about a team that built through the draft and really stuck with it, and now they're starting to really it's paying dividends. They were good last year, and even Chet Holmgren, he is in and out of the lineup, and he hasn't even had his being his best year yet, and he's playing well. But I mean, they got so much depth, and they're so good. OKC is so good. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what. Yeah, it's a stretch right now. It's only 20 something games left, and they got about a month and a half. So it's gonna be interesting how the NBA is how it's gonna roll into the playoffs. What teams are gonna come out of there. So all right, we're gonna talk. Got to talk some Patriots, and there's some changes there, and they got a lot of money. A lot of money, and free agency starts next week. So, what do you expect your Patriots to do? Are they going to be buyers? And they got a lot of needs too. So, what's your expectation of what the Patriots going to do?
Yeah, I mean, they really don't have any excuses not to be aggressive. I mean, they have
Mhm.
so much money to spend in free agency this year. It's kind of crazy. I really liked a lot of what I saw from Drake May in his rookie season. I think there's a
Yeah,
ton of potential there with him. I think he's a great quarterback to be able to build your team around. And I think bringing in an experienced head coach is huge. I did feel a little bit bad for Gerard Mayo because, like, as a person, because I think he just got thrown into a situation that was just really tough with a team that was just not in a good place, and he didn't have the head coaching experience, and I just don't think he was really ready to take on that type of role. So I
yeah,
think bringing in somebody who is not only familiar with the organization but also has head coaching experience, I think is huge for this team and necessary.
right.
So I first of all was very excited about the coaching hire. and just having somebody in there who can hopefully just get this team back on track of being a disciplined football team, because they just made so many mistakes last year and just looked poorly coached and unprepared in a lot of games. And that was an issue. So I think that in itself is huge with kind of revamping this coaching staff. But also, they have to spend money, particularly with the wide receiving core and when it comes
Yes.
to the offensive line. Those are the two biggest areas of need for the Patriots right now. I mean, give Drake May people to throw the ball to, please.
Right. Yes.
It's been like so long since the Patriots have had a reliable receiving core, and May deserves that. I mean, this kid's good, and some of the numbers he was putting up last year when he
Yeah.
didn't really have a lot of talent around him makes me really excited to see what he can do when he does have that talent around him. So I think, they really need to utilize free agency and the draft. The offensive line was an absolute disaster. They threw Drake May out there, and I was like, this poor kid is going to get destroyed because of this offensive line. And so,
Yeah.
and obviously, they're with the draft, they kind of ruined their chance of getting the number one pick, which I wasn't happy about because
Yeah, they won. They was
the
winning.
last week of the season to not get the one pick. But, it'll be interesting to see. Some people are talking about them maybe like trading back and trading out of their fourth pick. I don't necessarily know if I see that happening. If there's somebody that is really, really good who's available at 4, I wouldn't want them to pass up on that opportunity
Right.
for more picks later on. But I think it's going to depend on who's there and who's not. Because if there's a player that they miss out on that they really want that goes earlier, then maybe that day they try to work something out. But like I don't know where they're leaning in terms of the draft pick right now. Like I really am not sure. I could see it going either way. I mean, Belichick was always the king of trading down.
Yes.
But
Yes.
so we'll see if they do that now or not. I think it'd be in their best interest to actually use that pick and pick somebody. But we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, those two areas of need are super important for them. I think they have, we all knew that last year was going to be a tough year. There were Patriots fans on Twitter who seemed a little bit surprised when they were struggling, but, new regime, new basically everything. And they had to kind of, they were rebuilding. But I think if they spend their money this off season and they take advantage of some of these opportunities, whether it's via trade even too. I mean, there's those rumors about AJ Brown and the Patriots. So if they take advantage of this offseason, I think they actually could be more competitive going into this upcoming season than people might think, because Drake May has already kind of established that foundation that he could be a really good quarterback in the league.
Yeah, and you're right. I think they definitely need to help Drake May in getting him protection for one, and someone to throw the football to. So, and there, there's rumors. I just saw Chris Godwin. That's been a pick. I know he's coming off an injury, but Godwin's a really solid receiver. With Tampa, especially with Tampa Bay, he put up a couple thousand yards, receiving yards. He's a good receiver. There was a rumor about DK Metcalf, because now if if Seattle said they want a first and a third, Patriots have a very high pick. As you said, they got the number 4 pick. So if they want to get, but now then DK Metcalf, he wants $30 million a year on top of that. So he gets traded. Now they got to sign him. So that's going to be key of, okay, you get someone like him. Now you got to sign him for a large chunk of money. That the Patriots have the money. Do they want to commit to someone like DK Metcalf, who's again another super talented receiver? That would be Drake May's that would be his favorite target. Period. On top of that, then now with the Eagles with Mekhi Becton, who reset his value with the Eagles. At the time he was always injured with the Jets, and then he comes to the Eagles. They put him at a different position. They put him inside at left tackle, and or they put him at guard, I should say. They put him at guard, and he was like one of the best offensive linemen in football, led us at the offensive line. So that'd be another. So there's so many different. the free agency next week is going to be again crazy for the NFL. So I'm always looking forward to see what happens. But yeah, the Patriots got they can do a lot now. Travis Hunter, if he falls to you guys, because I don't know what Tennessee's going to do. I don't know what the Giants are going to do. We know they both of those teams they need quarterbacks as
Yeah.
well. You know, you got the Raiders. Like, what are these teams going to do? And the Patriots are thinking if Travis Hunter moves, if he slides to 4, you guys could use him and make him. I know he wants to play both positions. He wants to play wide receiver and DB. People say he's probably better at defensive back, but
Yes.
you can still use him and use him at receiver on packages, and then maybe get someone like a DK Metcalf or a Godwin. Now you got weapons on the outside. What do you think of that? Like if they can get somebody like a Metcalf, and if Travis Hunter he does fall to 4, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I'm a big Travis Hunter fan.
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea of him in a Patriots uniform. I think if he drops to 4, there is no question that they should take him. I just think with the versatility that he provides, they can kind of, utilize him where they feel is best and where they kind of need him. If they were to take him, I, for some reason, feel like the Giants might take him instead of
Mm.
taking a quarterback. With their pick. The Giants are so unpredictable, though. You never really know what they're going to
Yeah,
do
you
because they're
don't.
always all over the place. But if he drops to 4, I would 100% take him. But I think you're right. I think, if you're looking at a receiving core that incorporates somebody like him, but also has veterans in there that are proven in the league to have been successful with other teams, those are the types of players that you want to surround May with. And I think it's good to draft players that are going to be part of your future that you can kind of help develop within your organization. But I think there's a lot to be said for bringing in guys who have a proven track record of being successful in the league, just because you kind of know, as long as they're healthy, what you're getting from them. And I think that could be a really good situation for Drake May. I think, with the DK Metcalf situation, the Patriots certainly have the means to be able to pull off bringing him to New England. Like they
Yeah,
certainly have a package that they could give to get him. And I don't hate the idea, honestly. I think he could be somebody who could provide a lot of value here. And if you're looking at him paired with Travis Hunter, you're already looking at a significant upgrade
yes.
the offense from
Mhm.
last year. And if that was an area of weakness, I don't see why that alone can't get them a few more wins than they had last year.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, for sure. They could definitely get a few more wins with those two. And you're right. I'm looking at there's so many mock drafts. The Giants are in an interesting position because they was another team that had a chance to get the number 1
Yeah,
pick, and they ended
and
up
they messed it up
winning.
too.
They won that game. It was a game before I think it was 2 games before the last game, and they won. They ended up winning. Then they lost their last 2 because they lost to the Eagles the last game of the season. I think they lost to the Commanders too, and they ended up winning. And then the Giants fans were so mad because they were in the driver's seat to get the number 1 pick,
Yeah.
and but now they're stuck at 3. And if Cleveland or if Tennessee and Cleveland go 1-2 and say they go quarterback, and Abdul Carter the edge rusher from Penn State is talking about being the number 1 pick with the Titans, so it's on Cleveland what they do. So the Giants will have their pick at I don't think I don't even know the Giants even. It's interesting because you hear from we have a lot a lot of Giants fans. If they want a young quarterback, if they want Sanders or Cam Ward, or they're talking now Aaron Rodgers being there and others, so maybe Russell Wilson. I mean, they might be going to the veteran route as well. They can go to veteran route and still get a high quarterback too. But you're right,
That's what
Travis
I think
Hunter.
they should do. I think they
Yeah,
should do that. Like, I think they should draft one of those quarterbacks, but
right.
still get somebody like a Russell Wilson type who could be that mentor, that veteran
Yeah.
quarterback that can
Yep.
kind of help work with the young guys. So I think they should do both, but I don't think the veteran quarterback should be Aaron Rodgers. That's me personally, but
Yeah.
I think the idea of them getting a veteran to pair with a quarterback that they draft would be the best route for the Giants to take. I just don't know if they would want to pass up on Travis Hunter's talent if he's still available when they draft.
Yeah, because it just the top three at least, top three teams in this draft, you just don't know. Like I think New England, it just depends on who falls. Like they're not gonna go quarterback, so they could go offensive tackle. I know that Will Campbell from LSU will be a huge pick, or like I said, like Belichick used to be the king of trade down, and him and the Eagles used to always make trade downs, and they always were with Howie Roseman and Belichick always had they trade down to get more picks either in the first round or later, and then the Eagles do the same thing. So the Patriots are in a good spot. I think they're, even though like I said, some Patriot fans are upset they didn't get a top 2-3 pick, but they're in a really good spot to it just depends on how the draft folds. I don't know how what's gonna, it's gonna be so unpredictable. It's gonna be so, because they said Travis Hunter's there, the Patriots probably will get him, or if a team wants him, like, okay, what do you want for to move up? We want to, we can move down. So yeah, it's gonna be good. I'm looking forward to this draft as well. So much is happening in sports, and we even touch March Madness. And I mean, your UConn Huskies. I don't know, the men, can they do a three-peat? That's gonna be tough. I would never count them out, depending on where they land in the, in the bracket. Say they win the Big East, say they win the Big East tournament, they move up, and they'll make the tournament, of course. But I don't know if it's going to be hard to three-peat. They didn't have the year. I thought they would be better. I'm sure you did too. Thought they would be a little bit better. But hey, it's March Madness. What it's for. You never know. The experience, coaching they have is that could help them out. But there's quite a big good teams in the for the tournament.
Yeah, it's definitely been a frustrating season for them. I think
Yeah.
fans had a lot of expectations going into the season just because they've won the last two national championships. I think the issue with this specific team to me is they don't really have like the NBA ready talent that they
Right.
had per se on the last two championship teams. Like those two teams, like you could point out more than one player who was NBA ready, obviously, of course, because now those guys are in the NBA. Whereas this team now was young, lots of new faces, and it almost felt like it was kind of a transition year because they do have a strong class coming in next year. And they've just been very inconsistent. They just haven't been good defensively all year. There are certain players that were expected to step up this year that haven't really been. So I think that's part of the frustration. They're projected to be like an 8 or 9 seed right now, which
Yeah.
is okay. But I just think, depending on matchups, I just think they're going to have a tough time going far this year. But the women, I think, have a really good shot to win the whole thing.
Oh yeah, they have a great shot. They have a really good shot at the women have played. I mean, we I think we were saying how good this team, UConn team, can really be for the win on the women's side, and they've proven again, as long as they're healthy, as long as their players are healthy, they're gonna go very far. I can see them being a Final Four team for sure. For definitely. But like you said with the men, it is a transition. And if they get an 8 seed, they're projected to be an 8 seed. If they're projected to be an 8 seed in the East, and Duke is the number 1 seed, I mean, what a night 1-8-9 matchup if it does come down to that. But man, to put Duke into that, and with Hurley coaching against that Duke team, I mean, it would be tough. For both, it'd be tough for both, but Duke is projected to make it to at least the Final Four, the finals, maybe, as well. But man, that would be put UConn in that bracket. Ooh, that'd be tough. So I'm looking forward though. This is what March Madness is all about. But yeah, the women for sure out of both teams have a
Yeah, I want to
legitimate
see
shot of
Paige
winning it all.
Beckers win one national championship before she leaves too, because
Yeah, that
this
would
is
be
her
something.
last year, and she obviously hasn't been healthy her whole career. And this
Yeah,
year, she's been healthy the whole season, and you can tell she just wants to win. So I just feel like it would be really nice for her departure from UConn to end in a national championship.
I would love to see that too, because without the injuries, she was and still one of the best players in college basketball. We talk about Caitlin Clark and everything. I always say Paige Beckers was that before the injuries, before Caitlin, and Paige will be the number one pick. She'll be the number one pick in this upcoming draft too, and everything too. But she, like I said, she stayed healthy the last 2 seasons. Say and still at it playing at such a high level. So I'm looking forward to see. Yeah, March Madness. Here we go. We bracket challenges and everything and all the things we got coming up. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So, but
I'm so
Gabby,
excited. I
I'm
love
excited.
March.
Me too. Me too. I'm already got. We got it. We going to one of our. We go to the casino, sports bar in the casino, for Thursday, to watch at least the first few games. So we're already got our plan to do that. That's been a tradition. Me and my wife do that and go to our sports bar and watch some of those games.
That's
Um,
so fun.
yeah, we do that we've done that in the last day. We've done that for quite a few years now. So yeah, we look forward to that. Get a table and watch, get some nachos and wings and watch the March Madness. So can't wait for that. So, but Gabby, it's been always a pleasure catching up with you. We always go a good hour at the most,
Yeah.
and so always catching up. But let everyone know what you got coming up. Within the I know you got the baseball, got credentials, and the hot podcast. Anything else you got coming up, or where they can find you and follow you as well?
Yeah, definitely lots coming up in terms of podcast guests and all of that. Former players, a couple current players lined up to come on. So should be a lot of fun moving forward. And with the Celtics, keeping a specific eye on them, whether they are
Yeah.
getting closer and closer to repeating, because I'm definitely going to have a lot of Celtics based guests on Boston Balling as we approach the playoffs here. So that's very exciting as well. You can follow me on all social media, on Twitter at Gabby Maljanian, on Instagram at Gabby_Maljanian10. And then you can also follow my show accounts. Both are on Twitter at Boston Balling and at LO_Red Sox. Locked On Red Sox is a daily Monday through Friday show, so you definitely won't get shortchanged on Red Sox
Yeah.
content from me. That's for sure. But yeah, that's kind of what's coming up here, and I'm just hoping that the Celtics can pull off those back-to-back championships because I want to go to the parade again. Selfishly.
You want that parade for sure. And we
Yeah.
got Ben Soto says good evening. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. And we have some breaking news too. Geno Smith just traded to the Raiders for a third round pick.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, just popped up just what 2 minutes
Mm,
ago. Yeah, so the Raiders got their veteran quarterback.
that's
So
intriguing. Yeah.
yeah, they said they were looking for a quarterback, and who knows if they're gonna get um if they're gonna, 'cause they were talking to Aaron Rodgers, they were talking to Russell Wilson and others, but Gino, so Seattle's that now they're gonna be in the market for a QB. So we'll see what they do too. So yeah, free agency and trades already happening. So everyone get your popcorn ready, as T.O. says.
Yep.
Um,
Such a
oh, there
crazy sports time of year right now. It
it
really
is.
is. This
It
is
is.
like
Oh,
one of
yeah.
those months. It's always like March and October, I feel like, where there's just like so much going on in sports.
It's so much going on. Yeah. Now they're talking the Seahawks could be adding shortly Sam Darnold. So yeah, if we can't forget about him.
Yeah.
So wow, it's gonna be
I
fun.
thought that the Vikings wanted to keep him long term.
I did too. I know they said that they didn't franchise him, they let him explore. Uh so he's gonna get big money somewhere. It could be Seattle. Now they're in the market for a QB. So another team
That'll
in the
be
market for a quarterback. Wow, it's I mean, I'm glad I'm not in that mix with the Eagles. I'm glad we got our quarter QB, MVP, Super Bowl MVP locked in for another 3 years at the
Mhm.
least. And he'll resign. He'll probably get another big contract too. So I'm good. And I'm good. And you guys got Drake May. You guys find your quarterback too. So for the future, just got to get him
Also,
weapons.
it is crazy though what happens to a quarterback when they leave the Jets.
Yes, it is. So yeah, it's crazy.
Sam
Yes.
Darnold after the Jets was just like a completely different player.
Different quarterback, yeah, different player. Yes, he was the number one pick there, and now he's a different player, and he's about to get a big contract somewhere. So, but thanks, Gabby, again. I really appreciate always the time and the connection and everything. Looking forward to what you got coming up as well. So, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's always a good time chatting with you.
Yeah, always. Thank you. Yeah, really appreciate it. All right, until next time, be on the lookout for more content and more shows next week. And I hope everyone enjoys the weekend. Have a good rest of the weekend.